this time. We
Okay,
have
fine.
offerings today, and I believe that if we go through them with all deliberate speed, we'll get through everyone who submitted something this time around. So maybe if we just take a little,
Great.
I'll be Rabbi Rapport, and I'll suggest that everybody take one breath.
And let's just say reciting Psalms
Out.
and writing Psalms and offering Psalms is a fantastic way to express our wish for healing in the world.
All right, so we start with Noreen, with Dean, who has given us, I believe, a portion of your offering for this month.
Wow.
Dean.
Hi.
For Psalm 21, correct, everybody?
This is all Psalm 21, yes.
Harold, it should be her whole work.
Yes, I will. This is what was.
Yeah, you're
this
right.
is
It's a
what you sent
study.
me. It's a study, okay.
So it is itself. It's just smaller.
It's all you. Tell us what we're looking at.
Yes, tell us, speak to us.
So I wanted to go at, given that we're all doing a class, I thought it was a good time to do another direction. So I just.
Wait, we just lost you, Dean. Dean,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I muted.
start again.
Yeah. So I wanted to take an opportunity to do studies which kind of focus in on a particular verse or a certain arc, rather than doing, that's not to disqualify the rest of the psalm, but it's a study for it. So looking at, that stanza 8, through the covenantal love of the Most High will not stumble. And then it was also said by Bernstein, is a crown of answered prayers whirls around my head like golden leaves encircling my path strewn with light. So we have our speaker of our psalm, and he is surrounded, or is in this relationship, and it's that covenantal relationship that creates that path of light through this. And then the disarray in the lower right hand is the right hand wrath. So burn completely. So
Wow. Wow, this
But
is
it,
quite different.
yeah, well, you kind of get my vocabulary. I think
Yep.
you see it better, because the
I
larger
do.
ones, they get lost in the digital, because these aren't digital. These are very physical.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so anyway.
Beautiful. Very,
Dean,
very powerful. So how many of the copper nails are there? Do I just see one, or are there two?
Yeah, just two to hold it.
Mm.
This is 8 by 10, 8 inches across,
Uh-huh.
10 inches high, as opposed to 2 feet by 3 feet.
Uh-huh. I love both. I actually love both. I can't wait to stand in front of them physically.
I know I was at 30th Street, and I was downstairs looking at the wall and thinking and imagining it full of Dean's offering.
Harold's already hanging them.
I already have the labels written. Thank you,
Let
Dean.
me know. I'll come to New York to see it.
Uh-huh.
Stephen David Dime.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Stephen.
I just had to unmute myself. Okay,
It's the story of our lives, right?
right. Psalm 21. For the healer, therapist, teacher. A psycho-spiritual meditation based on Psalm 21. Find a comfortable spot. Identify a negative thought pattern that you wish to eliminate, to change. Please imagine that you're in your special place, a safe and peaceful space on the holy mountain of your imagination. Look around and see what you see, feel what you feel, hear what you hear, smell and taste what you smell and taste. And now feel what you hear and see what you smell and feel what you feel. And when you are ready, follow my voice or repeat along with me. Anoint me, divine light, with spiritual strength. Grant victory, great joy, happiness, and healing. My heart's desire is fulfilled, and my lips' requests are complete. Selah. A halo of golden light, blessings, and goodness crown my head. I am one with eternity. My victory over the negative thought pattern that I wish to overcome is a holy mission. I am blessed by divine light forever. I trust in the light. I am part of the light. I will succeed in overcoming and transforming this negative thought pattern with the divine light of creation that is alive in me. I allow the light to search for negative thought patterns and transform these demons in a furnace of healing light. Divine light shall disable the negative thought pattern on the seed level, because negative thought patterns are my enemies. They are harmful and self-defeating opponents. Divine light, separate me from this negative thought pattern once and for all. Shoot rays of joy into the face of my enemies and transform them into agents of light. I dance with the agents of divine light and listen to what they sing.
Wow.
And now, when you're ready, please come back, remembering to bring your golden crown to remind you of the profound learning that has taken place today.
Beautiful, Stephen. So first of all, I love that you've maintained a superscription and you've made it your own. So I love that. And I love the creativity of seeing the superscription as something that's helping you tell us something about what's coming. And that you've stuck to the 14 verses. So I see that in your structure. So tell us a little bit about writing this.
Well, I've been on to this for quite a while. I haven't been submitting because all my Psalms are the same. I kind of have been stripping out the first level, the layer that's Sfat, and trying to get to the core of what the psalmist is trying to say, which I see as an internal meditation.
Uh-huh.
So I've been interpreting them all that way. So in order not to bore you all, because it's all going to be the same one, I decided today.
I promise you we don't find it boring. I
Oh,
promise.
I know that, but it's the same rut.
Uh-huh.
It's the same record. I'm playing the same record over and over again. So I'm using the words of the psalmist, and I love the special, the light, of course, that is talked about, and the furnace and all of that. So I'm stealing from the psalmist and putting it into my own meditation. I'm trying to a psycho-spiritual meditation that I can bring to everybody. They don't have to be religiously inclined, and so they won't be turned off. In fact, some people are, by God talk. So,
well, I think I find it deeply religious, and I'm not, and I like seeing all the different ways people encounter, embrace, challenge, feel and connected with the force of the universe. And as I say over and over again, words like God are only usually obstruct our access. And you've done this beautifully by removing the obstructions and creating a beautiful bridge into it. And I really love it as a guided meditation. And I think that I see the Psalms that way, and I've never really actually expressed that. So that's a new way for me to use, because that is how I experience it, but I've never actually used that language. So I really love this, Stephen.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Share it.
Thank you, Stephen. I feel like a video coming on with you guiding us in this meditation with our eyes closed.
I love, Harold, that you think video, you think visual.
Video
Thank
now.
you.
I'm very 21st. Alicia.
For the Father, there's this dream that visits me some nights.
Alicia, are you here? I'm
I
sorry.
think you've just muted yourself. You just got muted.
Yeah, I got, okay. Am I good now?
Yes.
For the Father. There's this dream that visits me some nights, someone, sometime, somehow, not now. I shout, but no voice comes out. Forgive me, Father, it's been 1 week since. What can an 8-year-old confess? I bit my tongue, I clenched my fist, I smothered my fire. Half moon marks cut the lifelines on my palms. Have you tried the Psalms? There's this dream that visits me some nights. That one, that time, that way, I stay, I shout, and my anger comes out. Forgive me, Father, it's just that you got to be angry, and I confess I found you deplorable. I sharpened my tongue, I released my grip. I learned to tend my fire. Ancient words wrap around me like balm. Yes, I'll work with that psalm. There's this spirit that sits with me some days. This one, this time, this day, I say, I speak, and myself comes out.
Wow. I love this. And I love this bringing in of your tradition. Talk to us.
Yeah. Well, I grew up Catholic, and I'm very not Catholic anymore. Many, as Harold said, I'm more Episcopalian. Definitely not sticking with that one. And I also, confession and everything. And I think a lot right now about what it's like, what that tradition does. Many beautiful things, but what it can do to girls in particular, but many people, and how I was pretty stifled. And I also had we had very strict, it was the strictest diocese in the nation. And I had a very somewhat strict father, but also the priests at our school were very strict. But also my own dad, he was a war vet, multiple wars, a lot of PTSD, which we don't talk about for people who are in their 70s. And he was very explosive with anger growing up, but I was extremely close, we are still close. And I just thought about in this Psalm, how God is, the psalmist calls on God to be angry and to have this verse where God's face is inflamed with anger. And there's no verb to even say anger. It's just something like your face says something or your face turns, and there's no verb needed. And somehow that conveys it, and the sense of being 8 and of when you're little and when people are angry and you don't really know what's happening, but you can see it in their face.
Yeah.
So that just came to me. And I often have dreams where I yell a lot in my dreams, but I don't yell in person. So it reminded me of this need to sort of tame and flame our anger when it's required and how important that is, but my own grappling with it.
Very powerful. And I really love that the way you start with for the Father, Lamanatseach.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, powerful interpretation. And I just love your bringing yourself here and that complexity of Father. Beautiful, very powerful. And I think no matter what our backgrounds, we can relate to this.
Thank you.
Let's see, Michael Goldstein.
Here I am. Ready?
Yep.
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. I think I inadvertently left off for the conductor a Psalm of David. I did not include that in my text, but this is a David Psalm, a royal Psalm, as you described in the leaving. All right, here I go. Through the good, a ruler is happy, for the ruler finds a satisfaction in salvation. The good does not ignore the ruler's prayer, because goodness blesses the ruler with a reward of victory. The good provides immortality to the ruler, because goodness esteems redemption. The good provides eternal blessings and pleases the ruler, because the ruler trusts in the good and does not falter. The good will confront the ruler's enemies and turn them to ash when the ruler commands their time has come. The good will destroy the enemy with the fire of anger and destroy their roots for all humanity.
Wow.
The enemies will not accomplish their ends because the good will position them for its deadly arrows. Raise high the power of the good. Praise with prayerful song. Salute the strength of the good.
Well, Michael, I just love how you're developing your voice. So speak to us.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I think the good is the universal experience that we all should strive for. And I think that this psalm is an explanation of why doing the good is the benefit for humanity.
Uh-huh. So tell me about this verse, goodness esteems redemption. That's very powerful. Tell me what that means for you.
I'm sorry, where is it in?
The 1, 2, third verse, goodness esteems redemption.
Oh, goodness esteems redemption. Esteem is a synonym for values.
Aha, I see. Beautiful. I really love the way you're challenging us to keep seeing God with good rather than some other word. And I think you're bringing a lot to the class, Michael, by focusing on that. And it keeps us coming back to this particular way of seeing the power in the universe, the force for good. And very, very powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
I appreciate your teaching.
I appreciate you.
Donna Gray,
By the way, is the dining room open by you yet, Michael?
I'm a little confused. What makes you think the dining room is closed?
Oh, I thought because of COVID.
I'm living in an assisted living facility now.
Right, but doesn't it have a dining room?
It does, and we have tables for two with the plastic set up between.
Ah, I see. Okay, I assumed it had been closed down. A lot of places closed them. Oh, good. Okay, so it wasn't closed by you. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
All right.
Donna,
Okay. Oh God, my God, what does it mean to have sovereignty? What does it mean to live in a country where millions are eager to echo lies, abandoning themselves to appease the wounded ego of a would-be demagogue? Do they really think their lives depend on this? What does it mean to live in a world where in so many places, long-held power only changes hands through nepotism or violence? Democracy is fragile, only as strong as the belief in the integrity of elections. How can it continue once the seeds of doubt take root, once they sprout up into toxic weeds that suck the air out of optimism? The weeds are already overgrown, polluting the atmosphere. We need a massive intervention, a deep programming dose of smelling salts to snap the brainwashed out of their personality cult trance. Please help us, Mother of the Universe. I pray that it's not too late. I want to believe in the benevolence of good intentions. Am I deluding myself? Oh God, my God, what does it mean to have sovereignty over myself? How many times in my life have I given up my power because I wanted someone to love me? How many times have I felt diminished when longed for validation was not delivered? What would it mean to stand strong in the center of my sovereignty, to proclaim through firmly set boundaries, Hineni, here I am. Dear God of integrity, please help me to make the unconscious conscious so that my blind spots won't lead me astray. Let me let go of the angry edges that protect my tenderness so I can honor the tenderness of others. May true personal sovereignty emerge from the strength of my vulnerability. May I have the courage to practice inside myself what I seek from the cosmos. May I, in my own small way, embody the sovereignty I seek.
Mm. Beautiful, Donna. Now speak to us.
You know, what got to me with Psalm 21 was the idea of sovereignty. So this is basically my musings about sovereignty. And, you know, I'm very, very upset about what's going on in this country. You know, we're not hearing it shouted at us every day, but if we look just a little bit, it's right there. And, you know, with what's going on with, you know, they're ousting Cheney, you know, for speaking the truth, it's frightening. And so I'm scared about that. And, you know, I'm trying to, you know, I pray that some kind of federal legislation could happen to stop the disenfranchisement that the Republicans are enacting around the country. It's making me very upset. And then, you know, like I always, this is my practice. Whenever there's something going on the outside, I ask myself how it's reflected in my insides. That's my practice. And, you know, in terms of sovereignty, you know, like keeping steady inside myself in the face of unwanted energy coming from the outside is just not easy. But that's what I strive for. So like, I know how the difference between being, you know, meeting whatever comes at me from a grounded place or getting thrown off course when something comes at me that that is hurtful to me. So
yeah, beautiful. So I want to ask you something, Donna. Is this the first time, and I might not remember, that you've used Mother of the Universe? Is that
those
inspired
exact
by
words,
our-
Mother of the Universe,
Just-
maybe, but I've used Mother
You
before.
have, okay. I was
I've
wondering if
used
you were
Mother
inspired
Earth,
by our
Gaia,
reading the new-
and I did a version of Psalm 1 with all female
Got it.
pronouns.
Well, I love this, Donna, and I feel like you really get to this place of help me to make the unconscious conscious so that my blind spots won't lead me astray. Your openness to understanding how we all function in these, whatever the language, unconscious or whatever the language, and part of spiritually evolving is making that more and more visible to ourselves, being more and more in control of it. Although maybe it can never be a total thing, but it is part of our,
You know, and knowing how, you know, the angry edges that I use to protect myself hurt the, you know, the tender places in other people. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's like, you know, vigilance is called for.
Thank you, Donna.
Beautiful,
Another
Donna.
beautiful
Thank you.
offering.
Okay,
Judy-
thanks, Hal.
Judy Hollander, are you going to chant this according to trope, or are you just going to recite it?
I wish I could, but no, you'll be saved. I recline, musing about the good life, embraced by joy and comfort and safety, money in the bank, respect, within the bubble, protected from chance and bad choices. I could even say God smiles on me. See, Luke. God stopped smiling. I'm swallowed up in wrath and rage, destruction from within prompted by sudden change. My bubble bursts. The internet went out. Sophia.
So creative, Judy. I love it. Talk to us.
Well, I didn't make it up.
Uh-huh.
It's exactly what happened the day we started this psalm, and the rage that I was doing something at work and it wasn't finished, and it was people at the hospital who were going to get something wrong, and like this rage took over me from that really nice space so quickly. And it was like very much the sequence of the psalm.
Yes.
And then the internet went out, and then I was thinking, well, the psalm has some other kind of resolutions, but I said, I don't need to put that in this work, because everyone understands when I say the internet went out, that it's a slice of time. It's not forever. I didn't have to say it. So I just
Yeah.
stopped right there. And then I'm taking for the third time Jack's class. And so I just was in the rhythm
Beautiful.
of laning.
Well, I really think the one that what you've heard me say about this, which is also the difficulty of it, is really kind of confronting anger as a real thing in our lives. And we all want to pretend, or not we all want to, but sometimes we want to pretend in our, hippy dippy way that anger isn't a power in our lives or in the universe, that, or kind of if we're all evolved, we never experienced that anger. But that kind of anger that, I think it was Alicia said so beautifully, that is visualized. It's not even, words don't even come to it. That kind of anger that just takes over your body, either if you're the object of it or you're the subject. Either way, it's a very, very, very physical feeling. And this swallowed up in wrath and rage is so honest and so reflects what I think the psalmist is trying to help us get to. And sometimes there isn't an easy resolution. Sometimes things are ragged around the edges and we manage to get up the next day, and that's the best we can do, or the next week, and that's the best we can do. So I love it.
Harold, can you just put I don't know what you're doing these, can you put a space between the internet went out and Sofalia? Thank you.
Lori Croatman.
Okay, so just to continue on the anger theme, because this hit me even before we did our translation. So, for the fire maker, an ascending chord, you cock the hammer and pull the trigger, creating the spark that conceives and destroys. Your anger is everywhere. My anger is everywhere. We make quite a team, generating heat and wiping out everything that stands in our way. The smoke of your passion hides the meaning of my reactions, blurs the focus of my intentions. The shadow of your fury darkens my face, erases my connection to myself. I cannot see you anymore. Can you still see me amongst all this brutality and destruction? Our images smolder in the flames and turn to ash. I look for a trace of something left in the air. The luminosity when the smoke goes back into the chimney, the release of destructive passions that make space for clarity. Yes, we make quite a team, but only when we are bonded by that spark that allows for clear vision and lights the way.
Powerful, Lori. Speak to us.
So, I mean, the anger, anger to me, it's an energy, and I think you have to live through it. You have to get into the fire and let the fire kind of burn itself out. It's like any other passion that if you fight it, it's just going to increase. So in a way, I feel that when I get angry, or when God gets angry, or when the universe gets angry, it's an energy that has to dissipate. It can't just be squelched down. And there's a lot of energy in that.
Yeah.
A positive energy, because it's all energy anyway, whether it's destructive or positive. It's energy that can be put back into the universe. And if I'm left in anger, I can't see. I can't see the truth of what's happening at the moment. So I have to clear it out, as I think the universe does too. So,
and like everything else, the first step is to be aware of it. The first step, you can't get anywhere with something like anger if you don't start to ask the question of what's happening in my body, what's happening in my soul, what's happening in my heart, what's happening in my mind. But for sure, just saying I don't feel it, or it doesn't exist, isn't going to work.
And I do think that fury, any big passion, does erase my connection to myself. Takes over. It becomes me at the moment of its feeling and expression, instead of who I really am, which is hopefully way above that.
Yeah.
That's what I try.
Beautiful, beautiful, very powerful. And I really love the way you went. And I love the way you went from Psalm 21 to this. And also I love, which we don't have time to really explore, but I love the formatting you've used.
Thank you.
Really, I love that.
Jeremy Lawrence.
A variation of Psalm 21. To the composer, find music to inspire us who don't hear the prayers of our King to the King. The King rejoices in your might, Hashem. He exults in your salvation. Why not? You give him all he desires. Every prayer he recites, you grant. So be it. So be it, he says, when you give even before he asks. Your blessings of good he knows he will get. For you placed on his head a crown made of gold, more precious far than any other head has worn. Life he requests of you, and you renew it each day for the length of his days, forever and ever. With majesty and splendor, he walks unscathed through his life. The King trusts in you, believes your kindness toward him will never falter or fade. In all of your kindness, he royally rejoices. He hears only you, rejecting all other voices. I loved him once, and I will still. I'll ride by his side as he leads us to war, certain that you will smite all his foes, incinerating them in the fire of your ire. With their nostrils flared with fury they attack, but their fate has already been sealed. Your bowstrings let loose and your wrath devours, exterminating the foe in your furnaces. Their progeny is turned into ash. And the King sings your praises amongst all the dead, and we join our voices to his, though we have never heard yours. My King stopped hearing me a long time ago. My whispers of love no longer sufficed, once he found your infinite favor. But when in ecstasy with me cried out, oh God, oh my God, he wasn't praying to you. No, the God of our love was flesh and blood, not some power from above. But he had to invent something we his subjects could neither hear nor see, to protect his everlasting power, to protect his sovereignty. Conductor, find music for another David song. Its invention requires art to stay safe and strong.
Wow, Jeremy. Wow, fantastic. Speak to us.
I missed a couple of capitalizations of you, but maybe you caught on. Again, I tried to cast the person who was writing the psalm and who would be so angry at the king. And I returned to my David and his lover theme and wrote this from the point of view of the rejected lover.
Mm-hmm. So creative and such a powerful, multiple voices of the way that these different words could be used, either in love or hate or royalty or relationship. And then that ending is spectacular.
Wow,
Thank
Jeremy.
you.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Jeremy.
When I read these through the first time, this paragraph in particular, my king stopped hearing me a long time
Yeah.
ago. Really, thank you, Jeremy.
And
You're
Jeremy,
welcome.
your reading is just,
Yeah.
I could listen to you read the phone book.
I believe Jack Neiman has left the meeting. Is that correct? Or lost his internet. So we'll go to Monica Raymond.
Okay, so doing a sound check here. How's the sound, Harold?
If you could just go a little bit louder, that's fine. You have a very sensitive mic. Thank you for asking.
Okay,
That's good.
the escape. This takes the cake. Warlord will reward anointed king with everything. Valor, long life, yet takes a knife to losers he calls enemy and kills them all. Generations fall. Go look and see at the Wailing Wall. an end to schmoozer, winner, loser. Romania 1937 must have felt heaven turned to hell. We were chosen, now we're frozen, out of the one beneficent sun. We're denied God's good side, say a brucha, skip a crack. Out of Europe, don't look back. I'm done with this malarkey, petty local patriarchy that's been superseded by boundless earth and boundless sky, voices rising, all is regnant, polyvocal, multivalent. Detox for this former user, how to fox out your abuser. Leave the house when he's away, which it seems is every day. Travel light and take some cash. Shut the door, and when you crash, find yourself a Buddhist cushion. Feel the air. Breathe out. Breathe in.
Wow. Amazing, Monica. And I just love how different each of these is, one from the other. And some are so complex with language and so many words, and some, like Monica's, fewer words and much. I hope all of you are appreciating the incredible talent and soul of each of these, your classmates. Amazing. So speak to us, Monica. This is really beautiful.
Well, this song I really hated, and it just seemed like the quintessence of, Yahweh is the abusive patriarch, and like you're on his good side, he's going to give you everything. Whoops, you did something wrong. Now you're on his bad side. Here come the Nazis. I mean, it just seems crazy to me. And I'm really, I'm doing this class. A lot of what's happening to me during the pandemic is I was raised secular Jewish, and kind of looking at this tradition and seeing what it has to offer. I've had a Buddhist meditation practice for a long time. And in the last couple of Psalms, I'm just feeling like I'm so out of here, So it's the escape, like it's the escape from this particular patriarch as an abusive, father or spouse. That's what I got out of this psalm. So.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And as I keep saying, whatever response you have, the psalm is getting in, and it can be a rejection. It can be a complete reworking. And the question is to watch where it takes you, and where it takes you, Monica, is very, very powerful for the rest of us as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. Jack, I hear you're back.
Yes, I'm sorry. On my iPhone, that's not something. Anyway.
Don't worry about it.
Put these on. Okay. Yeah, I know.
Listen.
Trust.
Someone needs to mute. Hold on, Monica, I'm going to mute you. Okay, go ahead.
Trust in Hamakom, inspired by Psalm 21, a prayer for leaders. In Hamakom's strength, celebrating the righted ship of state, we dance and sing, perseverance rewarded, unified pleas answered, just leaders prevail, endure, hope and bright vision restored. Though ruler and servant may clash, pursuit of justice our vaccine, combating unruly, mutating contagion and evil division in our world nation. Our anger, a unified force, empowers without violence. Trust in Hamakom conquers mutiny, obliterates adversaries' infection, blows rudderless foes and their deadly spores, their sails ripped ragged to watery mortal oblivion. In Hamakom's strength, our captain at the helm, we rejoice unfurled at full sail, even keel, full speed voyage, toward eternal justice.
Beautiful, Jack. Speak to us about writing this from Psalm 21.
Well, I remember something that I think it was Robert De Niro said at the first Academy Awards after the election of the last president. And he said, we have to right this ship. And so that kind of stuck in my brain. And then I just kind of went with that, metaphor of the captain of the ship. And then rather than using the fire of destruction, using, the flood and the of Noah destruction of evil, and all of the opposition to righteousness really makes you kind of on an unsteady. You don't have your land legs. You're kind of always a little unsure.
Unbalanced. Yep.
You're always a little unbalanced. But I'm going to go with optimism. And I agree with Donna about Lynn Cheney and all of that. But I really have to cling to optimism. Otherwise, you get swallowed in. And so, I'm personally sailing full speed ahead and doing whatever I can to have that positive energy to bring to the universe.
Isn't that interesting how we all have such a different way of responding, and what is nature, what's nurture, what is it that's natural in us that we then make choices to develop, to strengthen, to, interesting. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
I think this is our last text offering, and then we have a musical offering.
Okay.
Sarah.
For the conductor whose band is playing Everybody Wants to Rule the World, a Psalm of David. Who wouldn't want to be a king favored by God? Who wouldn't want to be a man favored by humanity? Just before I was born, a great aunt declared about the baked goods she would give my family. If it's a boy, I'll make fresh. The king trusts his protector. God is egalitarian, and it is merely society that still favors men over women. Society names the king, and then God simply partners with people and crowns him. Mortal rulers should not always be men, but I do love the idea of an immortal male stepping up to support me. The man of my lesbian dreams helps me eternally without expecting anything physical in return. It's easiest to find such a man in God. He clears the essential enemies from my path ultimately, neutering my self-destructiveness. Like the king, I trust my protector. Society might not make fresh for me, but at my best, God helps me to be a regal seagull of my mother's dreams. God's mighty and praiseworthy deeds will always inspire me to express my gratitude, Selah.
Beautiful, Sarah. So this is one of your shorter ones too, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah.
Tell us about writing it.
It came to me right after class. Was it yesterday? When we had that whole gendered, annoyance by everybody around gender. And I thought, my God is not sexist. My God is not discriminatory. It's society that's discriminatory. And also my dad died when I was 17. And ever since I've been all about God being a man. So that like they're protector. And I found it so interesting to listen to the other folks in the class in the chat and Alicia's offering where the father became something to, worry about or reject. But anyway, I'll speak for myself and just say, I need a father still. And finally, this thing about making fresh, it turns out I double checked that story with my sister, Kayla, and she said, no, actually, Aunt Mary sent the kichel, and and then said on the phone to mom, if it had been a boy, I would have baked fresh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and my mother would, thank goodness. So this is the part about, it's all
Yeah.
on. Thank goodness my mother was aghast, like
Uh-huh.
she didn't get that. She thought that was terrible. So that's it.
Wow.
Ugh.
Yes, that line stuck in my head
Yes,
too.
that's it,
Boy,
yeah.
I'll
Yes.
bake fresh.
So
so-
Sarah, I just love the way you've used very specific autobiographical details that really are so particular, right? That's a very particular, but boy, does it speak universally as well in a big way. Love it, Sarah. Thank you.
All right, now we have, is Hazan Hirsch with us now? Hazan Hirsch?
Yes, she is.
All right, so let me open what you wanted. And
Wait, Harold, you can just wait a minute because I'm gonna.
okay, I'll pull you start talking and I'll get it ready.
Yeah, that's fine. So I don't have an original psalm to present today, but I have some semi-original research that I'd love to share with you, and then share a piece by Solomon Zulzer. In 1990, I was asked to participate in a centenary celebration, or observance, I should say, of Zulzer's 100 years since Zulzer had died. And Zulzer, of course, is a synagogue composer that all of you know really well, because he composed the Shema, he composed what is said when we remove the Torah from the Ark, the Vayehi bin Soah Ha'aron, and so many more melodies that we use. His dates, he was in Austria, 1804 to 1890. And I'm taking what I could give a whole class on and just really trying to abbreviate, but it's very fascinating. Zulzer had a lot of interaction with his secular colleagues, non-Jewish colleagues. For instance, he studied with Ignaz von Seyfried, who had been a student of Haydn, and that will become important in a minute. And when he published his opus, when he put together, his son really was instrumental. Yosef Zulzer was instrumental in putting it together, but he compiled a 2-volume compendium of cantorial music for every occasion you could imagine, called Shir Tzion, the Song of Zion. And it included 14 secular pieces, including a very well-known, now well-known setting of Tov Lahodot, Psalm 92 by Franz Schubert. So perhaps in that spirit of interfaith cooperation and harmony, Zulzer adapted and composed several works that reached out in an interfaith kind of way. And what's really fascinating is that he took the verses from the Psalm we're studying, from 21, verses 5 through 8. And he actually took this melody that was written by Haydn, by Joseph Haydn in 1797, and he called it Volkshymne, folk hymn. And his synagogue in Vienna, the largest synagogue in town, included it in the Sabbath service, in the same way that some synagogues today add a prayer for the leaders of their country. So what he did is he used a melody that had been written for the birthday of King Francis II, who was the emperor, I should say, the emperor of the Austrian Empire. And then he set Hebrew words to it that had to do with sovereignty. And this melody then went on to become first the anthem of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and later Germany. It's very often known as Deutschland über alles, although that's not the title of it. And when I was putting together this program, I invited some colleagues over to hear me run through the program. And after I sang this piece, one of them, who had been my teacher at HUC, emphatically said, "You may not sing this song. You're going to upset people. You're going to evoke the Nazi era. What are you thinking of?" And I said, well, I feel like if I explain it appropriately, it's going to be okay. So I sang it at this concert, which was held at Brandeis University. And afterwards, the wife of the German consul, whom I had no idea was in attendance, came up to me with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you so much for reappropriating this tune. You took something from the Christian world and brought it back to its simplicity, and you took it away from the Nazis and you just brought it back to the simple folk tune that it had been." And she took a brooch off her sweater and pinned it on me, a ruby and onyx brooch. So it's truly a highlight of my career. And I want to share this piece with you.
Do you want me to show the verses? Here.
Sure, please. And you have to imagine an organ and a choir, of course. And I'm going to sing it in the Ashkenazic pronunciation.
Wow. What a story.
Thank you for that.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
Wow, what a story. Thank you so much for bringing that. That really is fantastic. So much more. We thank you for bringing and continue to bring stuff. I just want to end today by acknowledging that 2 members of our class are sitting in Tel Aviv right now, Shari and Debbie. And the announcement has just been made in Tel Aviv that everybody needs to be prepared to go to their security rooms. Now, a lot of apartment buildings, you don't have to go down if they're new construction. People have built security rooms, so they have to go into shelters. So we all pray for peace, and we all understand that violence will beget violence, especially for people whose only commitment is for the violence to continue. Hamas does not want to solve this. The Israeli government does not want to solve this. This cycle serves both of those political entities, and sadly, they are both committed to a cycle of terrible violence. So we pray that we don't lose our humanity, and we pray for peace, and we work for peace, and we support as many people as possible who are working very hard for peace. But to Shari and Debbie, who are in the class, I've posted a lot on Facebook. I know you guys aren't on Facebook. Just know that we're all thinking about you and sending you our love. We're thinking of the situation in Gaza and in Jerusalem and in the south and in what's called the Gaza Strip, the area, the Gaza, the region called Shar HaNegev, the region that surrounds Gaza. And Sderot, the large town that's the closest to Gaza, which is under attack right now, and the various moshavim and kibbutzim, and the 26 people, 9 children who have been killed in Gaza, and the 2 Israelis who have been killed. And we pray that the number doesn't increase, although I'm afraid these next couple of days will be terrible in violence. And so we end with that. I've been reciting Psalms a lot. Psalm 122 remains an important one to recite as we pray for peace. All right, folks.